Hey everybody, Dragothian here, and today I've got another Rise of Kingdoms video for you today. I wanted to put together a new, updated, super comprehensive civilization guide for Rise of Kingdoms. I know that we've got new players joining. I know we've got people moving through the different phases of the game. I wanted to put together just piece by piece a guide for all the new civilizations that came out a couple months ago, as well as all the ones that we started out with. I think at the end of the day, though, what I want to do most is really classify each one of these civilizations in a 1, 2, 3 fashion based off of a few different criteria. So I'm going to go through the best 3 archer civilizations, the best 3 infantry civilizations, the best 3 cav civilizations, the best 3 farmer civilizations, the best 3 pay-to-win or endgame civilizations, and then I also wanted to do one for a free-to-play fighter edition. So this is all going to be inside this video. I'm not going to break it up. I wanted it to be a one-stop shop for anybody who's looking to find where they're at in the game, where they should be from a civilization standpoint, and you can just kind of jump in and find where you're going to be at, and hopefully give you the tips and tools that you need to make the right decision on which civilization you are going to pick. So without further ado, let's get started. And you know I'm going to start with infantry because that's the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart. So let's pop that one up here. Now what I've done, in the top right corner, I've got all the civilizations nice and neat. And on the top left, I've got my actual gameplay going, and then I've just got a background with a building. I thought it fit the video well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop the flags for each one of the civilizations into the 1, 2, and 3 slots. And again, I'm going to go through on the top left and click each one and kind of give a brief, quick description on why I made that selection. And then again, certainly you guys can comment below to see if I match up with what you guys are thinking as well, or if you didn't think about that, or if you have a better idea. Certainly everybody's willing to hear it. But let's go ahead and get started. So best infantry civilizations. Infantry by far tends to be more of a defensive civilization, a defensive troop. So we're going to want a defensive-minded civilization. So I think everybody kind of knows this and loves this or hates it, depending on if they go up against it. I'm going to pick Rome as our primary number 1. And I've already got Rome up. So reasoning behind it, obviously it's already got infantry defense, march speed at 5%. The gathering speed is not that big of a deal, but you do need a lot of food to train a lot of infantry, so that's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, the infantry defense and the marching speed are really key here. If you've got a full group of infantry with Charles, Richard, or any combination of the infantry commanders inside of that, a Scipio with a Sun Tzu primary, that kind of thing, like I've already gone over in all my other videos, this is going to be very, very nice for you on the battlefield for an infantry civilization. Okay? Second one. So I had a little bit of back and forth on this, but I think overall from a battle standpoint, we're going to go with France. Now the reason I went with France, not only is it a troop health increase, so it's not just infantry but all the troops, right? What really helps with France is that you have a hospital healing speed buff. And when you're in war, that's very, very helpful, not just from saving up on your speed ups, but just in general, you're not having to worry about your troops as much, and you can focus your resources into other things, your speed ups into other things like making more troops, or again, upgrading your buildings, upgrading your tech, those kinds of things. So you also get the special unit throwing axemen. Obviously with Rome, you get the legionnaire. And again, this just gives you another good choice for infantry. Now, again, I think Rome has the edge because of the extra defense on not only the civilization, but also the troop, legionnaire. Throwing axemen have a little bit more health, and then also another health boost on the actual civilization themselves. That's why I chose them as number 2 in conjunction with the hospital healing speed, which is very helpful to save up on your healing speed cards. Finally, again, I think there's only 3 civilizations for infantry anyway. However, I did pick Japan for 3rd. Couple reasons for that. Obviously, they've got samurai. Samurai have a very high attack. Now, again, that's not really what infantry is known for. However, still very valuable on the battlefield. And again, having that special unit that gives them some more buffs to play with if you're using infantry. And again, with Japan, right? So you get a couple more buffs. Really the main thing is the troop attack. Everything else is just secondary. But resource gathering speed is nothing to sneeze at, but not obviously that big of a deal for infantry. So this is my ranking: Rome, France, Japan, 1, 2, 3. And again, I think it's pretty definitive, this ranking. I don't think there's really many other people out there that would choose a different order for these things. So if you want to go ahead and I'll go ahead and move it back over to Rome, go ahead and take your screenshot, and I will let you go ahead and take that, and then I'll go ahead and move up to the next card. All right, so let's move these back. All right, so let's bring this back down to the bottom. Let's do cavalry next. Actually, you know what? Let's do archer next. I'm actually liking archers and more and more. Yep, okay. So best archer civilizations. Now, if you think about the archer commanders that we've got, almost all of them, if not all of them, are nukers. So you want to have civilizations that not only benefit archer, but also benefit nuking capabilities, which is why my first selection is going to actually be Ottoman. So what does Ottoman provide for us? Not only is there a buff to archers, and they have special units for archers, but also they've got march speed, which is fantastic to have. That's something that's going to give you an immediate benefit on the battlefield. But they also have skill damage increase, which is something that no other civilization has. The combination of the fact that Ottoman checks every box on every single buff on their civilization, plus they have an archer special unit, kind of makes this the gold standard for archer civilizations. I would recommend, if you're going to be an archer commander with archer civilization, archer troops, Ottoman's the way to go. I know traditionally we want to have attack on archers because of the nuking capabilities and things like that. That being said, a straight 5% damage buff to skill damage, as well as the march speed and the special units, to me make Ottoman #1. Very, very clear cut #1 too. So the next one, again, I just kind of mentioned it. We want attack with our archers. So I went ahead and chose Britain as #2. Now Britain, again, if we scroll back over to the left, it's one of our starting civilizations that we started the game out with. Archer attack 5% is definitely very nice. Troop training speed is definitely kind of a sleeper perk that a lot of people don't really think about when they're talking about doing a civilization. Very, very beneficial. That 5% for a T4 can equate to about an hour, hour and a half, and those hour and a halves stack up big time when it comes to resources, when it comes to speed, all that good stuff. So, well, not just resources, not resources, but speed. Also, ally garrison capacity. That's another thing that people don't really think about too much, but it's very important. If you're getting rallied, an extra 20% garrison capacity in your city could mean the difference between your city getting zeroed and your city repelling an attack. So very helpful as well. And again, all three of these boxes are checked on as good things to have as an archer civilization. So I made them #2. I think the benefit of the movement speed and the skill damage from Ottoman edge out Britain. So I wanted to make Ottoman #1, Britain #2. I think Britain is in a solid spot in #2 as well. Now there's a couple other civilizations that have archer. You've got Korea and you've got China. Now China does some generic things, and they also have building speed, which is pretty good for when you're leveling up. But again, this is best civilization guide, so I'm going to go with Korea. Now the reason I went with Korea, the hospital capacity, again, we kind of touched on it a little bit. This isn't healing speed, this is capacity. So if you've got a 300 capacity, or 300,000 capacity in your hospital, this is an extra 45,000 troops that you can put in your hospital that will not die if you are decided to be zeroed by a whale or something like that. That's 45,000 troops that you don't have to train back again. Also, there is a 5% archer defense buff. That's not really what archers are made for. However, archer defense, 5% archer defense is 5% more than you would have had you had a normal archer troop. So that can certainly be helpful, and again, help make the difference in a fight one-on-one. We all know that one-on-one fights don't tend to happen unless it's a friendly fight, so take that for what it is. But I think, again, this is a very solid 1, 2, 3 for archers. I think Ottoman definitely stands above the rest with the movement speed, the skill damage, and also the special units and the troop health as well all help to make Ottoman number 1. So go ahead and take your screenshot on that too, and I will go ahead and move on to the cavalry, which is what I think most people are when they first start out the game, so that'll be very helpful. All right, so let's go ahead and put these back. I thought this would be kind of a cool way to do it, guys, as far as having it kind of drag and drop and make it a little bit easier for you all instead of having to publish a bunch of links to basically the cards that we're making on the video today. So I'm hoping you guys are liking this. I think most of you will. It's pretty neat. I think it's pretty neat. All right, so best cavalry civilizations. As you know, we have a bunch of cavalry civilizations. We've got Arabia, we've got Byzantium, we've got Spain, we've got Germany. So that's 4. We have a total of 11 civilizations, guys, so we're short on 1, and which one do you think that is? Infantry. So Arabia, Byzantium, Spain, and Germany. Now, obviously, Arabia and Byzantium are the 2 newest ones. Spain and Germany are tried and true starting civilizations that we all had when we first started the game. Now, number 1 to me, again, it's about movement speed, it's about attack, it's about just having a bunch of things that work for you all at once on the civilization. So the reason I picked this number 1 is because it gives you the most value, one of the most values for your civilization, and that's Germany. So the reason I chose Germany, it gives you cavalry attack. Okay, so let's bring them up. It gives you cavalry attack. It gives you troop training speed, which again, we've already talked about that with Britain, very critical. And then it also gives you AP recovery, which is, again, another beneficial thing that nobody really thinks about, but it does help. That 10% AP recovery does help. You need to be rallying forts all the time to get your XP tomes to level up your commanders. You need to be killing barbarians during these barb killing events to get your commanders leveled up and to get the the different things that you need to pick up from the barbarians to win events and things like that. So you need to be using your AP all the time. It's like a resource. You need to be using it. And Germany gives you cab attack, training speed, and AP recovery speed. Those are all really nice. Teutonic Knights are pretty good as well. I believe they give you more defense though, which is not a great stat to have for cavalry. However, the cavalry attack buff helps with that defense increase and kind of helps offset that. So I think overall Germany is number 1. It's one of the earliest civilizations that we had access to, and again, there's nothing wrong with going with Germany to give you the training speed, the cab attack, and the AP recovery. Number 2. So this is one of the newer civilizations. I'm gonna make it Arabia, and the reason I say that, so let's go ahead and bring that up as well. Arabia gives you the cavalry attack, like I talked about. Mamluks also do give you cavalry attack as well as a special unit. It's not the highest, okay, but it's the second highest. Not only that, but again, it gives you damage dealt to barbarians buff, and it also gives you rallied army damage as well. Now, depending on where you're at in the game, and we're going to get to this on one of the other lists, depending on where you're at in the game, some of these may not help you as much as it would towards the end of the game, but Arabia having really nice cavalry units alongside of really nice stats on the attack bonuses make this a number 2 for me. Germany and Arabia are kind of 1A, 1B if you want to think about it like that, because of the attack loss that you get from Germany, a slight loss versus Arabia. However, again, the benefit of the troop training and the action recovery points for Britain kind of make it number 1 for me, especially where I'm at in the game. Arabia is a really, really solid second, and again, 1A, 1B is, if you pick Germany or Arabia, you won't be upset with the results. Mamluks and Teutonic Knights are both really good units. I just think Arabia also not having the troop training speed makes it the number 2, And the damage dealt to Barbarians help you, again, you use your action points effectively by killing Barbarians faster, which then lets you move on to the next thing, hopefully gaining you more productivity as you go through the game. Now, I did make... it was hard to make a choice for number 3 because we've got 2 civilizations that do some things really well. And I'm going to bring this one too because I think there's an honorable mention here for Byzantium. Let's talk about Spain first. So why is Spain so good? Spain is really good because conquistadors have the highest attack for any cavalry in the game. Also, they have a cav special trait on their civilization, giving them 5% cav defense, an XP boost whenever you're leveling up your commanders every day in the game. Now, that only applies to kills. That doesn't apply to XP tomes. So if you have 44,000 XP worth of XP tomes that you're using, it's not increased by 10%. It's just 44k. This only applies to killing things like Guardians, like Barbarians, like Kerouac, things like that, okay? But also resource production by 20%. That's a pretty significant boost. I think that anytime you can get more resources in this game, it's all the better, especially if you don't really have to work for them. They just get farmed a little bit faster, which is nice. Now, Byzantium, by comparison, doesn't really have a whole lot of tertiary skills that help you in everyday gameplay, but cataphracts are pretty decent units in the sense that they are well-rounded, and then cavalry health is the civilization trait for cavalry that Byzantium offers. The other reason I wanted to at least put Byzantium in the conversation is because of the hospital capacity. So again, if you are attacked, not only out in the open field, but more importantly, your city is attacked, you won't be able to heal your troops while your city is under fire. So if you've got a hospital capacity that is increased, that means that the worst that can happen is whatever your maxed hospital capacity plus 15% is what you'll take as far as how many troops that you'll have left. Now, if you didn't have this 15%, that 15% of troops, assuming you got zeroed, would be gone. Byzantium saves 15% of your hospital capacity worth of troops, which I already did the math for you earlier. 15% of 300,000 is 45,000. So very, very good amount of troops if you've got a maxed out hospital. And if you're at 200,000, that's obviously 30,000. So again, those troops are critical. Those are troops that you don't have to make back. So I did want to put them in as the third honorable mention plus honorable mention type of thing. I do like Spain a little bit more than Byzantium just because of the attack damage from the Spain special units, the conquistadors, and also the other things do help you every day with the XP boost and also the resource production. Those are everyday items that help you all the time. Byzantium stuff only helps you whenever you're stone gathering, which you shouldn't really be doing too much of. You should certainly be gathering stone, but usually just gather stone at like the Alliance pit, not just out in the open world. And then hospital capacity, again, is something that's situational and niche, but still very, very beneficial. Okay? Go ahead and take your screenshot if you are going to take it, and if not, get ready for the next one. Next one we're going to do is Farmer. We're going to do the Farmer one. Oop. Ugh, I've got so many of these. There we go. All right, that one, that one, that one, and that one. All right, let's move the cav one down, and let's do farming. All right, so a little farm over there. I thought it'd be cute. So farming civilizations, best farming civilizations. Now this can be for your farm account. This can be for if you are a primary player and your full intention is to make this your own little farmville with just a little bit of excitement. This civilization list is for you. Or if you just want to have the best farming civilization possible but still be good on the battlefield with just having really good troops and commanders, you can certainly do it this way as well. I recommend, obviously, going through my other 3 ones that I just went through to get the best specific troop type that you like and pick that one. We'll also go into a couple different ones later as far as where you're at in the game. But if you want to have the best farm civilizations, this list is for you. So first and foremost, we just talked about it, Spain. And the reason I like Spain, so again, we just went over the biggest reasons, and that is not only do you get 20% extra resource production, which is whether you play for 1 hour a day or whether you play for 20 hours a day. Well, first off, if you're playing for 20 hours a day, hats off to you, salutes to you. Man, that's a lot of time. But resource production by 20%, you get that all the time, okay? So that's not something that you need to physically be on the game for. You just automatically get that 20%, and it just keeps stacking up. So those are always things that are good for you and your account, is to have more resources. That's always good. The second thing is the XP bonus. So part of farming, in my opinion, is farming barbarians and farming NPC or PvE type content, where you're not fighting players, but you're fighting barbarians, guardians, forts, things like that, okay? So to me, 2 of the things here kind of get checkboxed when it comes to being a farm account. My farm account personally is Spain. That's what I've got as my second account, farming resources. I log in there 2 or 3 times a day, collect the resources, make sure my gatherers are out, and I move on about my day. I know that I'm getting the most that I can from the resource production boost from Spain, and the gathering is the gathering, okay? So those are really good to me. Number 2, and you know, I don't think there's many farming civilizations that are out there really, but number 2 for me is Japan. And I think it's a pretty straightforward one. So the reason that number 2 for me is Japan is because of the resource gathering speed. You get an innate 5% resource gathering speed. So if you're going to be on it, right, like you're going to be, every time your farmers come back, you're going to resend them right back out, you know, making sure that all of your marches in your civilization and your account are always active gathering resources. Japan would actually more than likely provide you more resources than the 20% resource production boost that Spain gets. Most people are not like that. So if you are like that and your either A, primary account is for farming, or B, you're really, really on top of your farming account, your second account, then Japan may be number 1 for you. You will get more resources out of it because you're going to gather more resources more quickly, and you get more resources by gathering, not by production. So Japan would give you more resources for your farm. That would make them number 1 in my opinion, but most people, I'd say over 90%, aren't that dedicated to their farm account. So I always put Spain because it's a residual increase. It's not an active increase. Again, won't spend too much time on these 2. My third choice, again, just because I needed to make one really, because this is a top 3 list, I went ahead and picked Arabia. And you're probably thinking, why Arabia? That makes no sense. Well, it does have a PvE type of thing to it. There is a damage dealt to barbarians and neutral unit buff. So that, again, for me, technically is a farming type thing. You're going to be farming barbarians, farming resources that way, farming speed ups, and then, you know, again, farming XP and that kind of thing. So I wanted to put them in as a third/honorable mention option. Again, if you're also going to be doing rallies on forts, the rally bonus damage is not something to sneeze at as well. Although if you're a farm account, you're probably not that high up on the tech, I'd imagine. So it is what it is. I think Spain and Japan are really going to be your 1 and 2. Those are going to be your 2 best choices, in my opinion. Okay. Go ahead and take your screenshot if you want to. I don't think many screenshots will happen on this one, but you never know. All right, let's put them back. Now we're getting to the last 2. So I'm going to go free-to-play fighter first. And I got all the tier 4 units there. Tier 3, tier 4, I don't know. I think those are tier 4. Yeah, that's tier 4. All right, so tier 4 units over there on the right side. Best free-to-play fighter civilizations. Now, again, if you're just all about fighting, which again, this is a war game, guys, so you should be, or at least that should be a big part of why you play. You can use the first 3 lists and be just fine. Please don't think that you need to. I just wanted to make a separate list to give you something that's got just a little bit extra benefit to the person who's not really putting much or any money into the game. So with that in mind, again, and it's kind of a jack of all trades, master of maybe one, and that's Spain. I think Spain is going to be the number one civilization for this because, again, right, you get the resource production, the XP bonus, which is going to help you level up your commanders faster, which will help you be more beneficial and more powerful to your alliance on the battlefield. And again, the conquistadors are really good on the battlefield when it comes to their attack, and you get a cav defense bonus. I think all these bonuses and benefits and perks help you and check every box. That makes, to me, the best free-to-play fighter civilization. Number 1 be Spain. Okay. Number 2, again, I think this is up for debate, but to me, number 2 is France. The reason I chose France is, again, you got a really nice special unit in the throwing axeman for infantry. You do get troop health, which benefits all your troops, and the hospital healing speed. So you're saving on your healing speed ups. For somebody who's free to play and doesn't have a whole lot of money to put into the Fate Changer bundle or to the new Call of the Ancients bundle for Ark of Osiris, this to me is something that's very beneficial to a free to play fighter who is going to be fighting a lot and may need to heal a lot of troops. This will help you. This will help you save on time, having to possibly wait for your healing to happen on your troops. And then certainly if you've got your healing speed ups, this will help you keep them instead of having to burn them all. And you want to use generic speed ups, which are liquid gold for any free to play or pay to win player, because those are universal and you want to use those on your troop training, you want to use those on your research, those kinds of things. You always want to keep as many of those as possible. The third one I went with is Britain. And again, the reason I went with Britain is kind of the same reason I went with France. You got a troop training speed buff, which is really nice. You got archers, which are really nice. The Longbowman, the attack on the Longbowman is the highest in the game. And again, if you're free to play and you're fighting, but you're not necessarily the biggest person in your alliance, having an allied garrison capacity bonus of 20% is helpful. If you're getting rallied and you want to take that rally, good luck to you. But if you want to take that rally, having 20% availability for extra garrison capacity in your city, again, could save you. That could save you. So again, to me, Britain is a third. I think second, France and Britain are kind of 2A, 2B kind of situation. I really do think Spain is the clear-cut choice for number 1 just because of all the other perks helping. But really, these 3 civilizations, especially with Britain and Spain, all the perks kind of have check boxes being checked off for anybody who's a fighter who's also not really wanting to put too much into the game. Okay, so these are my top 3 fighters that are free-to-play civilizations, 1, 2, and 3, Spain, France, and Britain. Take your screenshot, and I will move on to my final whale, megalodon, kraken, whatever you want to call it, civilization choice. All right, let's do it. Let's wrap it up. We're already coming up on about 28 minutes, so let's do this. I hope y'all appreciate the picture. Or in this case, a dragon on a mound of gold. All right, so this is the best pay to win, and when I say pay to win, and even the last one you could really term mid-game civilization list. So you've already gone through the beginning stages. You've gotten through to the point where you've got a few epics and a few legendaries, really high level from a commander standpoint. That's kind of the list for me for fighters. Best pay to win / end game civilizations where you've got everything maxed out, all your tech is up, all your buildings are up, you've got a ton of troops, you've got really solid commanders to use. This is the list for those people, the ones that are already at the end game, and eventually, assuming you get to this point, whether you're free to play or dolphin or medium spender kind of person, you'll get here. You'll get to this point. So this is what, to me, you have to look forward to. These are the best right now with what we've got to work with civilizations for this particular use case. So this may be a bit of a shock, maybe, I don't know. To me, it kind of was when I was putting it together. Arabia. Arabia is number 1 for me. We talked about it earlier. Cavalry attack is very nice. Mamluks are very nice. This person should be doing a single troop type rally with anything they're doing, but the rallies are the key here. The rallies are the key. 5% damage dealt by rallied armies. That is huge when you've got end game pay to win or end game commander with max tech research. Adding an additional 5% makes the difference. So this is your best end game civilization, and it's not even close because there's no other commander on the field or no other civilization on the field that has this. And this is what you need to have you leading your armies is, and that's the only reason I picked it, really. The Cav stuff is great. The damage to barbarians and stuff is great, but rallied army damage at 5%, that's a game changer for end game PvP, is having that 5% rallied damage for your army. That alone makes this number 1. Number 2, Ottoman. Now, again, Ottoman gives you march speed, which any endgame player can use, and active skill damage, which if you're an endgame player going up against anybody, whether they're endgame or whether they're still coming up in the mid-game, that's beneficial. That's going to give you that edge on an open field fight to help you win. You're going to be more maneuverable, more mobile, and you're going to have more nuke damage, which most of the damage commanders and main battlefield commanders in the game are nuke-based of some kind, okay? Now, infantry is obviously different with Richard and Charles and, things like that, but most of the other commanders have some form of nuke component to them or skill damage component to them. This helps that, and again, being endgame, every little bit helps. That's why Arabia having 5% rally damage increase is so important. That little bit is such a huge deal. And then same thing for Ottoman. This is a really strong civilization for endgame as well because of the march speed and because of the skill damage bonus. And also, again, the Janissaries and the Archer health is not bad to have, especially if you've got a max YSG and you've got a max El Cid or a max Herman alongside of that or a max Julius primary or something like that. This civilization is definitely for an endgame player. It can help people in the mid-game, certainly, don't get me wrong, but endgame is really where this civilization really starts to shine. Now, the third one, again, this is really for the people who just pump money into the game nonstop every day. You're going to have Germany, and you're going to have Britain. I would also say honorable mention to Rome because of just the fact that they're so powerful in the infantry and they've got the movement speed bonus. The reason I picked Germany and Britain, though, is because of the troop training speed. So, again, with Germany and with Britain, they're both the same. They both get it. You get a 5% troop training speed buff. Again, if you're buying bundles every day and all you're doing with those bundles is training troops, that 5% goes a very long way. It doesn't help you on the battlefield in the sense that it makes you more powerful with your units and your commanders, but it does give you more troops for less money, if you think about it. So these are very beneficial to an endgame or a pay-to-win player because it just requires less speed-up resources or less gems to train your troops, which is really all you're doing at the endgame is maxing your commanders out and training more troops. Those are the two things that you're doing nonstop every day. And that means you're farming forts, that means you're farming barbarians, that means you're farming guardians, and that means you're training troops every single day and you're spending all your gems, all your speed ups on troops. So that's why Germany and Britain are a third place for me. And again, Rome is really nice because of the movement speed and obviously all the infantry benefits that you get from that. I will say that ultimately Arabia and Ottoman are 1 and 2 respectively because of their damage on the battlefield capability, and that Arabia is number 1 specifically because of that 5% rally damage buff that you get from the civilization. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, we were very comprehensive on this civilization guide. There's a couple other things to keep in mind before I end the video. First off, again, there are some innate things in the game that are not really listed, one of which is movement speed. So with movement speed, if you have a normal unit, okay, so say you're at T4 and you have a normal unit of infantry, and then you've got the same person beside you with T4, same stats, same everything, and they've got a civilization infantry unit like a samurai or like a throwing axeman, they will be slower on the battlefield than you will. So the special units have a slight movement speed debuff, all right? It doesn't say it anywhere in the game, but we have noticed that in gameplay that a special unit does have a slightly lower movement speed than a non-special unit. So keep that in mind whenever we're going through all of these best 1 to 3 civilizations. I think ultimately it's minor, but it is something to take into account whenever you're making a decision. And again, it's noticeable whenever you're moving places that are more than 10 or 11 minutes away. You'll see the difference ultimately at that point. But if you're just going a couple of pages over, or if you're going to another city that's very close, you won't really notice that much of a difference. So just kind of keep that in mind. Also, if you're just starting the game, you want to get a commander right out the gate that's going to help you do whatever it is that you want to do in the game. So you want to have a peacekeeper, which would be a Boudica, which is what you see up there with Britain. You also want to have a farmer. So if you wanted to go with France, Joan is the best farmer in the game and also one of the best buffers in the game. So very much a lot of utility with Joan. If you wanted to start with France, it's not a bad idea. So whatever civilization you pick at the very beginning, that's the commander you're going to get right off the bat before you're able to change civilizations at level 10. So once you hit City Hall level 10, you will get a free civilization change card, and then that's when I would use this guide to guide your journey on which way you want to go, whether you want to be an infantry, cavalry, archer civilization, if you want to be a farm account, if you want to be a fighter that doesn't put a whole lot into the game, or if you want to be an absolute crazy person and spend a ton of money on this game and also be ready for the end game when you get there. That's the one up that you see right now. Another one to kind of maybe start off with is Pelagius, because he's a good cavalry commander, epic cavalry commander. He's one of the best in the game. I would recommend that as a third choice if you wanted to do that. I didn't really want to put together a guide for it inside of here, but I wanted you guys to know what you want to be doing in the game when you first start out, your very first account. You want to have a peacemaker and or a farmer. So that's where Britain and France come in. Those are the top 2 starting accounts. And then once you get one or both of those, I would switch it over to Spain, being the best farming account, because that'll give you your resource production, your XP, and all that good stuff. Okay, don't want to rehash the same stuff twice. So with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for sticking with me this long. We're almost at 40 minutes. Like I said, comprehensive and detailed, right? That's what the name of this channel is, basically. We want to have a ton of detail and a why behind the what. So I hope you enjoyed. Take care. I'll see y'all next time. Have fun conquering your world and enjoy all the KVK stuff that's coming up. Can't wait. Take care.